revealed how I transformed an incredible wedding steal into a touching celebration of love. Jessica stood in the dilapidated estate, hollowed out like the dreams pressing down on her. This mansion, once a backdrop for fairy tales, was now merely a tangle of ivy, broken windows, and the ghostly echoes of forgotten laughter. As an ambitious wedding planner in a Midwest town, she had hoped to create magical moments that ignited love in her clients' hearts. Instead, she felt suffocated by crushing student loans and the weight of her mother's lofty expectations. "You need to succeed, Jess," her mother always said, as if success could be measured by financial gain alone. The pressure clawed at her insides like relentless thorns. What kind of success would it be, though, if her heart struggled to keep pace with it? She envisioned a simple ceremony for an earnest couple, love-filled yet financially fragile, trapped in a society that often demanded more than it offered. But could she overcome the storm of her own debt? Could she escape the shadow of her family's dreams, which loomed like a specter over her every move? The estate whispered promises of possibility. One more wedding could alter the entire course of her narrative. Each vine climbing the brick, each cracked window seemed to breathe life into her aspirations. This was the moment to redefine her career. But doubt nagged at her, relentless as the drizzle outside, mingling with the scent of rot and abandonment. Would her mother approve of this unorthodox venture? The thought alone twisted her stomach. Time crackled around her, heavy and electric. As she scrubbed away layers of neglect, an old trunk revealed itself, hidden under years of dust and decay. Inside, she found love letters woven with ink and passion, a forgotten connection between the estate's original owner and her steadfast suitor. Each letter told a tale of resilience, of defiant love against the inscrutable tides of societal norms. Jessica's heart tugged at the intimacy of it all, reminding her of her own longing for connection amid her austere reality. Just as she felt a flicker of hope, reality crashed back down, better tempered, perhaps, but tinged with family disapproval. "Why can't you just get a real job?" Her mother's words echoed in her mind, a haunting mantra. And in those moments of tension, the competition lurked like a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing, ready to pounce at any sign of vulnerability. A rival wedding planner, fueled by bitter jealousy, began spreading rumors that could doom her dreams. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The pressure of the approaching wedding bore down on her, each decision heavier than the last. Could she silence the doubts of her past? Honor the love illuminated by the letters she had uncovered? Or would she succumb to the weight of expectations, both familial and financial? Jessica found herself at a tipping point, not just for her career, but for the very essence of who she was. As the lover's sincerity resonated with her own desires, she felt the piercing question grip her tightly. Could she truly seize her dreams without forsaking herself? The wedding loomed closer, a storm about to break, and she stood, suspended between despair and determination, waiting for a revelation that might just change everything. As the rain fell in heavy sheets outside, Jessica wiped her brow with the back of her hand, her resolve hardening like the wet cement beneath her feet. The estate had become a paradox. Its decrepitude mirrored her fears, while its potential ignited a spark of ambition deep inside. Each day she spent within its walls brought clarity, edging out the confusion clouding her thoughts. The couple she was planning for Emma and Jason represented a fresh start, a chance to escape the suffocation of expectations that hung over her like a dark cloud. They were set to wed in just a week, and she could feel the rhythmic beating of urgency, propelling her toward a culmination of goals she had only dared to articulate in whispers. Jessica took a step back, surveying her makeshift workspace cluttered with sketches and vibrant swatches of fabric. She recalled the letters that graced her hands, the raw vulnerability of love letters from decades past. Could she invite that kind of profound connection to the wedding she was orchestrating? It wasn't merely about flowers and table settings, it was about weaving a narrative that would resonate. The idea took root in her mind, branching out like the vines snaking their way up the old mansion. She spent long hours designing a ceremony that blended modern elements with the timeless whispers of the estate's past. She would incorporate some of the poetry from the love letters, intricately tying it into their vows, weaving a tapestry of authentic expression. But as the days rolled on, her rival's sabotage escalated. Comments sprouted in town about her questionable choices for venue and her capability. The undercurrents of disdain wove themselves into the fabric of community gossip. Each whisper felt like a dagger thrown into her composure. And then came the stress of a seething urgency. "Why do you care about what they think?" she muttered to herself one evening, sitting at the edge of the flooded garden with her notebook in hand. "Do it for them. Do it for you." The conviction surged through her, a fiery assurance that fueled her planning, but every surge of confidence tangoed with the escalating doubts. She held the weight of her family's expectations on one shoulder, and the burgeoning spirit of her independence on the other. A tumultuous battle raged within her, turning every decision into a war against her own perceived limitations. With just days to go, Jessica found herself standing at the threshold of her burgeoning identity. She had to confront not only her rival's schemes but also her ingrained beliefs about success and failure. Every move she made would serve not just to show her ability but to lay the groundwork for independence from her mother's defined expectations. Drawing strength from the past, she framed her approach to the wedding as a personal crusade rather than a mere business transaction. She envisioned each moment, the laughter, the tears, the toasts and tributes, as more than just rituals. They were the embodiment of love itself. "You can't let them define you. This is your moment." She whispered it to herself like a mantra as she planned the final details, pouring her heart into transforming not only the estate but her own narrative. On the eve of what could be a life-altering celebration, Jessica stood before the crumbling estate with a heart full of fire. It was no longer merely an old building, it was a vessel of hope. It represented the fusion of dreams, and somehow, she realized, she could still honor her mother's intentions while carving her own path. The wedding day dawned, and with it, a new sense of determination ignited within her. But as she approached the venue, the tremors of doubt still tinged her heart. What if, despite her best efforts, it all fell apart? The moment had arrived when she would have to prove herself not just to her community, but to the woman she saw in the mirror. As the minutes ticked closer to the ceremony, her pulse quickened, awareness tightening around her chest. She was ready to embrace the chaos, to weave together the threads of love and resilience. But could she truly transform the shadows of her fears into the light of a promised celebration? As she took a deep breath and pushed the venue doors open, a sudden crash from within shattered the silence, sending her spiraling into the unknown. The doors swung open, revealing a scene that felt like a waking nightmare. Tattered linens had fluttered from the tables in disarray, candles lay shattered on the ground, and the floral arch, a centerpiece of her vision, had toppled, leaving a scattering of petals on the floor like forgotten dreams. Jessica's heart raced, a visceral surge of panic washing over her. "Stay calm," she whispered under her breath, clenching her fists at her sides. This was her moment, a test she hadn't anticipated, but one that could either shatter or define her resolve. She took a step inside, absorbing the chaos, each damaged element whispering doubts in her mind. Every negative thought spiraled, threatening to drown out the hard work she'd poured into this day. "Jessica!" Emma's voice sliced through the tumult, panic breaking her normally soft tone. She rushed forward, her face pale under a veil that had fallen askew. "What are we going to do? Our guests will be here soon." The stakes had suddenly skyrocketed, the reality of her plans unraveling before her eyes. This wasn't just a job, it was a commitment to two people who believed in the vision she'd cultivated. She had to face this situation head on. "All right, Emma, we need to act fast. Let's start with the arch. Can you help me lift it back up?" With Emma's assistance, they managed to set the arch right again. As they worked side by side, Jessica's mind raced through potential solutions. Each flicker of indecision only fueled her determination. The moments they spent restoring order ignited not just physical efforts, but a collective resolve that filled the empty spaces around them. "Okay, we'll need to move the tables and replace the linens," she instructed, her voice gaining confidence as they shifted into a rhythm. "And I can use the remaining flowers to create smaller arrangements around the room. Focus on what we can do now." As they worked, Jessica could feel her mindset shifting from a place of panic defeat to one of proactive resilience. It was more than logistics. It was a moment of deep self-discovery. Could she really transform this imploding possibility into something beautiful? "Let us grab some extra chairs from the storeroom," Emma suggested between breaths, her eyes lighting up with the prospect of fixing what felt broken. The idea sent a spark through Jessica. "Yes. Let us create a seating circle for the ceremony instead of rows." Encouraging intimacy could turn this all around. As they moved furniture and gathered fresh blooms, the chaos became an unexpected canvas for creativity. Jessica found herself diving deeper into her vision, letting the downpour of despair outside fuel a determination within. This wasn't merely about salvaging a wedding, it was about breathing life into love amid adversity. Each restored element began to shift her perception of the day. This was no longer about her fears or the judgment of outsiders. It was her creation blossoming into something uniquely powerful. With every minor victory, chairs arranged lovingly, the arch adorned once more, she felt the pressure ease, replaced by a flutter of joy. However, a lingering question echoed in the corners of her mind: would it be enough? As the last of their frantic preparations began to solidify, she caught sight of the approaching guests through the dusty windows. Would they see failure, or would they feel the love woven into every thoughtful detail? In that moment, vulnerability and strength coalesced within her. The journey she had embarked on was far from over. It was an evolving testament to her growth. Jessica would either stand tall in her truth or bend under the weight of doubt. Faced with the threshold between chaos and celebration, she took a deep breath, letting the mixture of fear and excitement propel her forward. The moment of truth was near a real test of all she had learned. But just then, as the first guest entered the venue, an unexpected figure appeared in the doorway, a familiar silhouette that sent a chill down her spine and rekindled old insecurities. The crowd parted, and Jessica's heart sank. Her mother had come to witness this pivotal moment. What would she think of her daughter's choices? "Jessica," her mother called, uncertainty flickering in her gaze. "I need to talk to you." As the shadows of doubt crept back in, Jessica could feel the weight of expectation tighten around her. The time had come to face not only her rival's sabotage but the person who had, for so long, defined her path. Would she emerge from this confrontation stronger, or would it unravel the belief she had painstakingly built? Jessica felt a cold sweat bead at her temples as her mother moved closer, the crowd's jovial chatter melting into background noise. Each step her mother took was heavy with unspoken judgments, laden with the weight of years spent in critical hesitation. "Can we talk?" her mother pressed, barely masking the urgency in her voice. Jessica's mind whirled. Hadn't she just begun to claim her space in the world? Why now, at the brink of all her efforts, did her mother insist on breaching this tender moment? "Of course," Jessica managed, her voice ringing with false steadiness. She led her mother away from the main area, toward a dim corner, where the ambience shifted under the fragile glow of nearby candles. "This looks different," her mother started, the tone caught between confusion and disbelief. Jessica braced herself for the wearisome critiques that had so often marred their conversations. "I just didn't expect this from you." A rush of anger flared up within her. "What did you expect?" she shot back, surprise at her own boldness coursing through her. "Did you think I'd follow a script that you wrote or carve a life based on your dreams?" The silence that settled was palpable, thick with years of unaddressed tension. Her mother's eyes widened, a mixture of regret and revelation dawning upon her. Jessica seized the moment. "I've been working toward this. Fighting for my vision. I want to create a space that feels like home, not just an event dictated by tradition." For a heartbeat, they stood as two women with their own stories, desires, and dreams. Jessica caught the flicker of understanding behind her mother's cautious gaze. But the usual flickers of sharp criticism still flicked at the edges, tethering Jessica's newfound confidence. It's just that her mother hesitated, faltering under the weight of her own expectations. I worry you're too young to handle this kind of responsibility. What if it all falls apart? The question hovered in the air, a long-held fear maturing into a fresh wound. Panic crept back, threatening to darken the resolve she had just solidified. Could she truly sustain this? I had to stand up to my own doubts today, Jessica countered, each word tasting foreign yet empowering. I think I deserve to trust in my potential. She paused, forcing herself to breathe through the uncertainty. I'm not afraid if it fails because at least I'll know I tried. I finally found the courage to do it my way. Time hung suspended between them, and Jessica could see the flicker of something in her mother's expression: curiosity, perhaps admiration, or maybe a distant hope. For the first time, her voice softened. Maybe I don't know what's best for you. The admission sent her heart fluttering. Their relationship had always been one of authority and submission. Acknowledging the potential for mutual respect felt like a monumental shift. I need you to believe in me, Jessica pressed, her voice resonating with the vulnerability she had only recently begun to embrace. I don't want to hide anymore. You've got to see me for who I am, not who you want me to be. As she stood there, an unexpected yet exhilarating rush surged through her. No longer merely responding to her mother's expectations, she was boldly outlining her boundaries and desires. Okay, her mother said, a hesitant smile finding its way to her lips. I'll try to support you. Emboldened, Jessica gestured back toward the main area filled with murmurs of joy and anticipation. Just watch, the love tonight will speak for itself. You'll see how beautifully everything is coming together. They stepped back into the light, Jessica's heart racing not from fear but from a newfound strength she had claimed publicly. Yet as she turned her attention back to the guests, doubts began to gnaw at her once more. What if her mother's change of heart wasn't enough? In the midst of rising excitement, Jessica spotted Emma near the entrance, her brow furrowed and eyes wide. Something was wrong. As she moved to uncover the cause, the room fell away, leaving her teetering on the precipice of not just her greatest professional moment, but also the prospect of renewed rejection. No longer just battling against the remnants of her past, she would have to confront what had tainted her present. The question loomed, could she transform this moment yet again, or had she unwittingly stepped into a new chaos? And then, as the first joyful notes of the music filled the air, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. Ignoring it wouldn't be an option anymore. A forgotten contact had returned to pierce through her emerging confidence. Who was waiting for her reply, and what consequences would it unleash? The air vibrated with the opening strains of music, swirling emotions pinning Jessica in place as she fumbled to pull her phone from her pocket. The screen flashed an unknown contact, a name that sent her heart racing for reasons she couldn't quite articulate. Was it an echo from her past, a reminder of things she had worked hard to escape? Jessica, Emma called, urgency slicing through Jessica's tangled thoughts. She turned to find Emma standing at the entrance, panic painting her features. Her friend's distress was contagious, sending adrenaline coursing through Jessica's veins, sharpening her focus. We've got a situation with the flowers. They didn't deliver the right arrangements. At that moment, the music faded into background noise, and reality snapped back into razor-sharp focus. Instead of cowering under pressure, Jessica felt an electrifying resolve settle over her. This was the moment she had been preparing for. Okay. Let us figure it out, she said, her voice steady. As they huddled together, Emma's eyes reflected fear and uncertainty. What if we can't fix it? What if the guests notice? It's too big of a deal, Jess. Jessica took a deep breath, grounding herself in the chaos. What we need is a plan. Let us start by assessing what we have and how we can adjust. Sometimes the best moments can stem from unexpected changes. Emma blinked in surprise, perhaps caught off guard by Jessica's newfound assertiveness. You really mean that? You think we can make this work? I don't just think it, I know it, Jessica asserted, feeling a rush of confidence wash over her. We can use this opportunity to be creative. Let us repurpose what we have and add our own twists. It just takes a little innovation. Emma nodded slowly, the flicker of hope emerging in her expression. All right. Let us do it. As they moved briskly toward the back area where the flowers were stashed, Jessica's mind whirled with potential alternatives. What could they substitute? How could they weave in elements that echoed the vision she had fought so hard to establish? Every step felt like reclaiming a piece of her identity. Instead of allowing past failures to tether her, she was discovering an ability to pivot when situations became challenging. She was asserting her vision in ways she had never dreamed possible. Working through the logistics, ideas poured out of her, each met with Emma's growing enthusiasm. Layering wildflowers with chic greenery, enlisting the help of staff to create eye-catching arrangements, and even incorporating lighting adjustments that would elevate the ambience. With each suggestion, Jessica felt the weight of expectation lift, replaced by the thrill of creative problem-solving. Upon finishing, they stepped back to survey their handiwork, a vibrant tapestry of colors radiating warmth and joy. "This looks fantastic," Emma exclaimed, a genuine smile illuminating her face. Jessica's heart swelled, the realization striking her like a thunderbolt. She had just transformed a potential disaster into a celebration infused with life and energy. It wasn't perfection, no, it was something far more valuable. It was authenticity. "Let us get ready for the guests," Jessica said, rejuvenated, her voice ringing with excitement. As they moved forward, she quickly typed a response to the unknown name awaiting her reply. It felt like a ditching of denial, a confrontation head-on. She needed to face whatever was lingering in her life beyond this moment. As they headed back toward the main area, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, thrumming with laughter and joy. Yet, amidst it all, a flicker of unease still coiled in her stomach. What awaited her once she hit send? Had that text been an invitation to revisit old wounds, or was it a catalyst for change anew? Before she could ponder too long, laughter echoed through the air, bringing her back. The first guests began to arrive, and Jessica braced herself, knowing she was on the cusp of revealing not only who she had become, but also who she was ready to fight against. Looking into the crowd, she spotted her mother, eyes sparkling with recognition and pride. Jessica felt a swell of gratitude. What might follow would undeniably challenge her resolve, but she was done being the passive subject of her own life. In the midst of the approaching guests, one thought pinned itself to her mind: she was finally ready to dismantle barriers she had allowed to define her. And perhaps, it was time to confront the person waiting on the other end of that message, to reclaim one more piece of her narrative. With a rush of determination igniting her spirit, she caught Emma's eye and whispered, "Tonight is just the beginning, isn't it?" But as the music soared and the first toast rang out, she felt her phone vibrate once more in her hand, a new notification demanding her attention. What if that message was a culmination of everything she had fought to distance herself from? The answer hung in the air, heavy with possibility and dread. The vibrant energy of the event washed over Jessica as she scanned the room, the chatter of guests blending with the music, a litany of celebration. Each interaction flickered with light and laughter, shaping a canvas of joy she had played a pivotal role in creating. The weights of the past began to lift, yet the vibration from her phone pulled her into a moment of sharp focus. The message was undeniable and weighted, patient and potent. Reluctantly, she set down her drink, scanning her surroundings for a moment. Emma was engrossed in conversation with a couple of the guests, their laughter echoing against the floral backdrop they had meticulously crafted. It was beautiful, it was right. But still, a small coil of anxiety tightened around her heart. She had worked hard to escape the shadows of her past, yet here it was again, ushering in a sense of nostalgia she hadn't anticipated. With a deep breath, she pressed the button to unlock her phone and revealed the text from the one person she thought she'd left behind. "Hey Jessica. I've been thinking about reaching out. Can we talk? I miss you." The message lingered, its implications swirling around her mind like unwelcome smoke. The past was reaching for her, daring her to either engage or withdraw, as she had countless times before. Jessica's heart raced, the ground beneath her shaking. There were no easy answers. Should she confront it, explore those feelings, or let it fade into the background like a distant echo? She grappled with the notion of reconnecting. After all, to truly embrace her newfound confidence meant taking ownership of every part of her story, including the painful chapters. She set the phone down, forcing herself to focus on the event around her. Guests were dancing, laughter pealing like wind chimes caught in a gentle breeze. Emma caught her gaze and smiled brightly, an infectious reminder of the positive shift Jessica was beginning to nurture within herself. "Jess, look at this!" Emma exclaimed, pulling her toward the center of the gathering. Jessica immersed herself in the moment, losing herself in the radiance of the celebration. Each joyful interaction, each shared smile, ignited a flame within her. But that message stood sentinel in her mind, refusing to be forgotten. It wasn't just her past, it was an opportunity to redefine her present. In that realization, a flicker of resolve sparked. She could initiate change not only in her professional career but in her personal relationships as well. "Hey, do you want to grab a minute outside?" Jessica asked Emma, feeling an urgency to share her thoughts. "Sure. What's up?" Emma responded, her brows slightly furrowed with concern. Once outside, the cool evening air enveloped them. Jessica leaned against the railing, confronting the chaos within. "I just got a message that makes me want to reevaluate some things, you know?" Emma's expression softened, sensing the weight of her words. "You really think it's worth exploring?" "Yes," Jessica murmured. "I think I'm ready to face what I left behind. It might be uncomfortable, but I've changed, and I want to lean into that." As they rejoined the festivities, an odd blend of dread and hope churned within Jessica. She had no idea how this next chapter would unfold, but she was ready to challenge herself. She wouldn't let fear dictate her choices any longer. The night flowed on, the laughter of guests ringing in her ears, while a storm of introspection brewed beneath the surface. Reconnecting with her past could lead to clarity or chaos. What lay beyond that reply? Would it enrich her life or reopen old wounds? Whatever it was, she accepted the uncertainty with a newfound strength. She turned to Emma, who was still engaged in conversation with a group nearby. "Let us find out," she whispered to herself with quiet determination. As the hour approached midnight, a sense of urgency pulled at Jessica. The moment was ripe for exploration. With a determined glance around the enchanting scene they had illuminated, she felt a tide of encounter encroaching. It was time to decide. With the night still alive with promise and uncertainty, Jessica knew the hour for confrontation was drawing near. She clutched her phone tightly, the vibrant celebration around her receding into the background as another notification buzzed against her palm. The stakes were higher than ever, and she felt undeniably alive, aware that every choice was a step toward her next chapter in a story yet to unfold. Would she embrace the challenge ahead or allow fear to bind her once again in a web of unaddressed feelings? Jessica's heart quickened again as she glanced at the screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The cloud of exhilaration from the event surged against her introspective thoughts. A simple tap could send her spiraling back into the landscape of emotions she had meticulously put aside. Yet, as the music thumped in the distance, she found herself drawn to the growing moment of truth that awaited her. "Are you all right?" Emma's voice resonated through Jessica's fog of thoughts. The concern was palpable, slicing through the remnants of her trepidation. She turned to find her friend searching her face for clues. After a moment's hesitation, Jessica exhaled, feeling lighter with her decision. "I think I need to respond. I'm ready to confront my past, even if it's uncomfortable." Emma's eyes widened, her surprise mingling with admiration. "That's a big step, Jess. Just remember, you're the one in control now." Taking a deep breath, Jessica felt hope ignite within her. This wasn't just about a message, it was about taking power over her narrative. She typed a quick response, hesitating only a breath before clicking send. The weight lifted, but the uncertainty remained a coiling serpent in the back of her mind. "You know." Emma began to break the silence growing between them. "This moment feels like a point of no return. What do you think you'll learn from this?" Jessica studied the party around her, a swirl of glittering lights and music blending with laughter. Yet, it felt distant, mere background to the reality unfolding within her. I think it's a chance to see how far I've come. If I can own my past, maybe I can shape my future. As they returned inside, Jessica tried to immerse herself in conversations, but her mind raced with possibilities and fears. A tightness began to creep in, but she shook it off. Instead, she focused on the joy of the night, allowing laughter to erase the prior tension. She engaged with laughter, slipping back into her role as host, feeling moments of gratitude for every detail she had crafted. But soon, a new notification buzzed against her palm, a response. She felt a palpable flip in her stomach, the kind that occurs on a roller coaster's descent. Should she check it now, or would that undermine her commitment to the event? Her goals and ideals battled within, each one seeking attention, demanding fulfillment. "Jess, what's wrong?" Emma's voice diverted her focus from that internal commotion. "You look like you're about to go through a storm." "I just need to breathe," she grounded herself, allowing the festivalesque atmosphere to wash over her for another moment. "I want to engage with this. It's calling to me. But, at the same time, I can't ignore the reality that awaits." Emerging from her reflective spiral, Jessica quickly scanned the faces surrounding her, a medley of joy, new connections, and memories waiting to be made. The urgency within her shifted, her thoughts spiraling back toward clarity. She took in a deep breath, bracing for the encounter ahead. Once the evening tapered off, she excused herself momentarily to a quieter space, standing under the soft glow of the city lights. Still gripping her phone, she felt its weight against her skin. With one finger, she swiped the screen open. The fresh message was simple yet profound. "I really appreciate you responding. It's been a long time." Emotions roiled within her, a mix of apprehension and anticipation. Could this exchange lead her toward closure or deeper understanding? Just as she started to type a reply, a rush of thoughts overwhelmed her. Was this her chance at growth, or simply an invitation back into a familiar pain? The conflict fear surged, and she could feel every second collapsing around her like it was the most important decision of her life. Would she hit send and open the door to her past, or would she turn back and walk the path she had fought hard to carve out? The moment loomed heavy, and Jessica's pulse quickened. A simple answer could change everything. She would discover her capacity for resilience in confronting what she had long buried. The anticipation surged. The choices lay sprawling beneath the stars like an endless road with endings waiting. "Are you ready to face it all?" she whispered to herself, her hand lingering over the device. Decisions echoed through the night, and she sensed that the clock pressed on, urging her toward an unforeseen horizon. Jessica's heart thudded as she stared at the message on her screen. Time felt suspended, the world around her faded until only her own turbulent thoughts remained. Her finger wavered above the keyboard, caught in a dance between her longing for closure and the fear of reopening old wounds. She closed her eyes, the dark night providing a haven to confront her emotions. Real growth demanded honesty, and perhaps it was time to acknowledge, if only to herself, the weight of her past. "One step at a time," she murmured, finding her voice amid the chaos. She had been on a quest to redefine her narrative, breaking free from the crippling fear that had clung to her for too long. Responding to this message could either anchor her to the past or propel her forward. The choice lay entirely within her grasp. Drawing a deep breath, Jessica focused on the lessons she had learned about herself in recent months. Each moment spent confronting challenges had added depth to her understanding of strength and vulnerability. She had crafted a version of herself resistant to the very pitfalls that had once ensnared her. Why doubt that she was now capable of facing whatever came next? With resolve building within her, she opened her eyes, heart racing with actionable purpose. Jessica crafted her response carefully, each word resonating with clarity and intention. "Thank you for reaching out. I've had a lot on my mind, but I'm ready to talk." A simple acknowledgement, yet one that felt monumental. Clicking send felt akin to casting off an anchor that had weighed her down for years. "Is it done?" Emma's voice brought her back from the brink of introspection. The concern laced with pride was evident, and it buoyed Jessica's spirits. Yes, Jessica replied, feeling a sense of release wash over her. I took control. Now I need to prepare myself for what comes next. As she rejoined Emma among familiar faces, the warmth of friendship wrapped around her. Conversations flowed, laughter echoed, yet all the while, her mind was a hive of anticipation. What would the response entail? Would it open the door to understanding, or plunge her back into turbulence? Weeks of growth and healing couldn't be undone by just a few simple phrases. Back at her apartment that night, Jessica found herself engulfed in a torrent of thoughts. Her journal lay open on her desk, inviting her reflections. Taking the pen, she started writing about the journey she had undertaken, the fears she had faced, the resilience she had cultivated, the new identity she was beginning to own. Each word was a brick in constructing a narrative that would allow her to thrive. Her fingers paused mid-sentence as a notification chimed from her phone. Her heartbeat quickened, and she hesitantly glanced at it. Another message from the same sender awaited her. She debated, wondering if she was genuinely prepared for what these words might unscramble. The conflict within bubbled once more, igniting a mix of curiosity and apprehension. She was embarking on a path she had previously feared would she now falter at the precipice. Breathing deeply, Jessica sensed the pull of destiny, compelling her toward empowerment. I am who I am, she told herself, a mantra cultivating confidence with each iteration. Gathering herself, she returned to her journal, ready to script a future aligned with her aspirations. The new message was there, waiting like a fluttering flag in a storm. But this time, she wasn't merely a spectator of her narrative. Jessica felt invigorated, ready to engage with her past but on her terms. As the light from the city filtered through her window, illuminating her thoughts, she glanced back at the message. Would she engage or retreat? This crossroads wouldn't determine her fate, but it could redefine her journey. With a mix of determination and excitement, Jessica raised her phone. The next step was not just to respond but to own the journey ahead. In that singular moment, she realized she was on the brink of transformation. What awaited Jessica on the other side of this moment? The decision loomed larger. An invitation to confront the shadowed corners of her heart. She was ready, no matter the outcome. Jessica's finger hovered once more, a vessel of change poised to usher in a wave of revelations. It was time to step into the light of her own story, and she felt the electricity of possibilities crackle in the air. The journey had only just begun. The gentle hum of her phone jolted Jessica from her reverie, a reminder of the message waiting for her response. She steadied her breath, steeling herself against the storm of emotions swirling within. Anxiety and anticipation fought for control as she finally tapped the screen to open it. The message read, "Hey, Jess. It's been a while. I'd love to catch up and hear how you've been." Plain and simple, yet laden with possibilities. Would this be a reunion, a reckoning, or perhaps both? Memories of their last encounter flooded her mind, unearthing feelings she had meticulously tucked away. The need for closure screamed louder than her earlier doubts. This was her chance to redefine not just the narrative of her past but the impact it had on her present. Her finger twitched over the keyboard, unsure of how to shape her words. She drew upon her newfound clarity, reminding herself that she was not the girl who once retreated in the face of confrontation. Slowing down her thoughts, she drafted a response that mirrored her evolving self. "I'd like that. Let's chat soon." As she hit send, a weight lifted, but a new tension filled the air. This action was not only about reconnecting but about facing her past with a strength she had barely recognized just months prior. The act of engaging signified a willingness to explore the unresolved threads of her life. What would she discover about not just him, but about herself? Hours trickled by, filled with moments of uncertainty. The glow of her phone would catch her attention, but each subsequent silence solidified the anticipation within her. Jessica busied herself with preparations for a presentation at work, focusing on her professional goals as a temporary distraction. She was passionate about the project, a campaign about transforming uncelebrated moments into cherished memories. The irony was not lost on her. Her own journey was a reflection of that very theme. As she mapped out ideas and sketched drafts in her notebook, she felt a flicker of creativity igniting confidence. She realized that just as she aimed to illuminate the beauty in overlooked events, she could do the same for her own past. Each brush stroke of her brush onto paper became an act of empowerment. When her phone finally chimed later that evening, adrenaline coursed through her veins. The response felt like a gust of wind ushering her towards uncharted waters. "How about tomorrow at the cafe, 5 p.m.? It'd be great to see you." Her pulse raced not just in excitement, but in a recognition of what this meeting could represent. She was stepping up to face the version of herself she had long avoided. This was more than just a conversation, it was an invitation to reflect on how far she'd come. The following day dawned with clouds of anticipation hanging over her like a pending storm. As she dressed, every outfit felt laden with meaning. It wasn't just an encounter with him, but potentially a confrontation with her past self. The woman she viewed in the mirror appeared both familiar and foreign. Who was she now, compared to who she used to be? Jessica took extra care with her appearance, adding touches that expressed her evolving identity, confidence layered with the tenderness of vulnerability. As she walked towards the cafe, her heart raced not just with apprehension but with the exhilarating promise of what lay ahead. Would she embrace the nostalgia or establish firm boundaries, anchoring her in the present? The moment of truth was approaching, and with it, questions hung in the air. Would they reacquaint in harmony, or would old wounds be reopened? Arriving at the cafe, her resolve solidified. This was her narrative, and she was ready to craft it. Each moment, each interaction was hers to define. And just as she recognized the pivotal steps she was about to take, she saw him sitting at a table, a tentative smile on his face. Would this meeting reaffirm her transformation, or challenge her newly built identity in an unexpected way? The journey ahead promised not just answers but deeper revelations, a transformation perhaps waiting to be fully unveiled. The cafe hummed with the warmth of life, vibrant conversations resonating as Jessica approached the table where he sat. She felt excitement pulse through her as she recalled the battles fought, the wisdom gained along her journey. Steeling herself for this encounter, she noticed the busy peculiarities of the cafe, the barista expertly crafting lattes, the tantalizing scent of freshly baked goods wafting through the air. There was beauty in imperfection, a theme that echoed in her thoughts. "Hey, it's so good to see you," he said, standing to greet her, a flicker of uncertainty dancing in his eyes. Their initial exchanges held a blend of nostalgia and trepidation. Both were conscious of the time that had elapsed since they last shared space. "Thanks for inviting me," Jessica returned, her voice steady. "It feels different, doesn't it?" The uncharted territory ahead sparked a mixture of anticipation and resolve within her. This meeting could prove pivotal not just for her past but for the present she had worked so diligently to cultivate. "Yes, it really does," he replied, their conversation gradually easing the tension. They fell into a rhythm of laughter and storytelling, with each anecdote reinforcing the bridge built over shared experiences. But as the conversation deepened, Jessica recognized the delicate undercurrent of discomfort that had often marred their past interactions. It was time to confront unanswered questions. "Can we talk about why we lost touch?" she prompted, her heart pounding but her voice unwavering. This wasn't about blame, it was about understanding. The threads binding their fates collided with the realities they had chosen. He hesitated, a flicker of regret passing through his features. "I think I was scared of being vulnerable. I didn't know how to face my own issues." There was honesty in his admission that resonated deeply within her. She had stumbled through similar fears during her own journey. "I get that now," Jessica replied, the weight on her chest lightening as she spoke. "I was just as lost. But I've learned that vulnerability is where true connection lies. It's what has helped me grow." The acknowledgement felt liberating. She could, at last, embrace her past without fear. Their conversation shifted the air charged with newfound clarity. As Jessica articulated her experiences, she could feel the echoes of resolve amplifying her voice. "I refused to shy away from the difficult conversations anymore. This journey was not just about planning weddings, it was about reclaiming my narrative. Each word brought her deeper into her own morphing identity, affirming the strength she had cultivated over the months. "And I'm proud of you for that," he replied, his admiration evident. "I've also been doing my own work. It's been enlightening, realizing how our past choices shaped who we are today." The sincerity resonated, wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. As they shared reflections, Jessica recognized how intertwined their paths had been and how both had evolved. Time drifted forward, each moment deepening their connection as the cafe grew busier. Jessica felt a profound sense of accomplishment, a vision of herself proud and confident in the present. With every new layer they peeled back from their past, they built a foundation of trust to navigate future encounters. "Here's to new beginnings," she toasted with her coffee mug, sparking laughter that highlighted the shared warmth enveloping their conversation. Later, as they stood to leave, Jessica felt rejuvenated, empowered by her ability to confront the past while genuinely engaging with it. The shadow of her old self no longer lingered, she had transformed it into a platform of strength. "I'm glad I reached out," he murmured. She searched his gaze, wondering if this was a simple closure or an invitation for something more. Whatever lay ahead, she was equipped with resolve, clarity, a deep appreciation for her journey, and a renewed commitment to her authenticity. As she walked away, confidence surged within her. Every challenge faced had taught her a lesson. Every moment of doubt had been converted into empowerment. Jessica had not only reclaimed her narrative but redefined it as one of triumph. This encounter wasn't merely about reconnecting. It was about honoring every decision she had made on her way to embracing her identity. Fueled by this experience, she was ready for whatever lay on the horizon, be it love, career challenges, or the whispers of her own aspirations. Now, she had come full circle, poised at the threshold of a vibrant future she would craft with unyielding determination. Follow Jessica's journey. It's just the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and theories about Jessica's transformation. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion and overcome their own struggles. This is the moment to be part of her incredible journey. Don't wait even one more second to share.